One of the most well-known consequences of climate change is sea level rise. Polar bears, ice caps melting, flooding coastlines. What exactly does this mean? How dire is the outlook? Is there anything we can do to stop sea levels from being on the up and up? These are good questions. You go, Glen Coco. Let's look at the science.
A quick recap. Industrialization has caused a huge increase in emissions. These greenhouse gases trap heat and prevent it from leaving the Earth's atmosphere and cause the global temperature to rise. The science behind sea level rise is actually quite simple. Global temperatures go up, causing normally frozen bodies of ice to thaw, and this water needs to go somewhere. Essentially, sea level rise is caused by these 7 things: thermal expansion, the tendency of water to increase in volume when it's warmer; changes in salinity, the warmer the water, the more salt it wants to hold; water stored in the ground; water vapor in the atmosphere; mountain glaciers; and ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica. Glaciers and ice sheets make up the majority of total sea level rise. The big challenge that exists is that rising emissions leading to higher temperatures will cause this ice to melt. And because even a drastic reduction in emissions will not stop the global mean temperature from rising, it means that sea level rise as a result of melting ice is inevitable. The question that concerns climate scholars and policymakers is how to minimize the damage.
This is a map of all the mountain glaciers in the world. Depending on how red the mass change meter is, will show you how fast the glacier is melting. You can see that while some glaciers are melting slowly, others like the Central European glaciers do not stand a chance. You like skiing in the Alps? You better get it in now. Estimates vary on the precise amount of ice that is being lost from the world's glaciers, and therefore the exact amount of sea level rise that is occurring. But IPCC researchers estimate that the planet is losing 335 billion tons of ice each year. But glaciers are just a small issue by comparison to ice sheets, which are essentially just very, very, very big glaciers. Let's take the well-known state of Florida on the east coast of the United States. This graphic from NASA's Sea Level Change portal shows the impact of sea level rise if the Antarctic or Greenland ice sheets melt. You can see how quickly the state of Florida disappears when only 40% of the Antarctic sheet has melted, even if the Greenland sheet remains intact. As you can see, if both ice sheets melt entirely, we are looking at a total 62 meters of sea level rise. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is 56 meters, so it's quite a lot of water.
What does this mean? Obviously, disappearing landmass is a problem. If you think back to our case of Florida, that's 21.7 million people whose lives would be underwater. And not just Florida, over 30% of the US population live in densely populated coastal areas. What would you choose if given the choice between relocating or defending against the sea? That's the choice the residents of the Marshall Islands have to make, where rising sea levels have forced them to take action. According to an article by The Guardian, the World Bank has mentioned mitigation measures that could include raising land, reclaiming land, or even consolidating population within an island. For the people of the Marshall Islands, international migration is the option of last resort. This is not counting the additional ecological and economic impacts of moving coastlines. In short, this is going to cost a lot of money. In the case of Indonesia, a $40 billion project is being carried out to protect the capital city of Jakarta with an 80-foot high seawall. This also involves creating small, reclaimed islands within the seawall. Whether this will work remains to be seen.
We can build defenses, but ultimately we need to address the root cause of sea level rise, which is rising temperatures associated with carbon emissions. In other words, we need to commit to transitioning to a low-carbon society, which includes conscious consumerism, circular economy practices, and decarbonized industry, all powered by renewable energy. For our vision of a low-carbon society to become a reality, the most important thing you can do is vote. And vote consciously for leaders who support net zero policies.
Luckily, we have the support of an incredible group of climate scientists who are increasingly advising more leaders on both defenses and decarbonization mechanisms so that we can reach net zero before it's too late. Listen to the science.